wish a void opened in the air to suck me up, cause I really don't care. While I'm falling, I wondered if you would miss me when I'm gone. While I'm falling, I wondered if you would miss me when I am gone. I feel so hollow, hollow inside, hollow inside. Promise me everything, promise me everything, but please don't lie. Disappointment echoes in my brain. Anyone would really go insane. Empty hands promised me everything. It gave me nothing in the end. While I'm falling, I wondered if you would miss me when I'm gone. While I'm falling, I wondered if you would miss me when I am gone. I feel so hollow, hollow inside, hollow inside. Promise me everything, promise me everything, but please don't lie.
Welcome in, everybody. Apologies for the little delay that we had, but we've got our final day of the qualifier 1 that is of Blitz Gaming. We're getting down to the business end. We've got 6 teams that we do need to send on up to the next stage. But for now, my name's Kyler Grant, better known as Red Rogue, and joined with me today is Chaka. And we do have a good matchup today. And Chaka, what are you looking forward to as we get our matchup ready? Oh, well, it looks like Chaka might be a little quiet. Well, we'll get you figured out. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at our rosters. We've got Hush versus Phantom Legion today. And Phantom had a difficult day yesterday. They were on top. They were the only undefeated team. And they actually lost 2 out of the 3 games, making their qualifiers a little tricky. One of the maps they actually lost was on Oregon. And we are going to be heading back to Oregon. I don't think we've actually streamed Hush yet. If we have, I'm not sure. We might have had 1 game. Phantom Legion's been on this broadcast for this qualifier a couple of times. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at our map bans before we begin, because I believe the players are kind of etching to go right on in. So for our bans today, and I mentioned Oregon, they lost yesterday, Phantom Legion, on that map. They're going right on back to it. They're actually choosing it. So that might be a, hey, we're not very comfortable on this one. But it looks like they're going to go ahead and go for Oregon. And I'm not sure if we have you back on mics yet, because my producer's saying he can't hear you.
2.
Oh, there we go. Now we can hear you.
God.
We are good.
Oh my gosh.
That's
I've been
how Blitz
speaking into
Gaming goes. It's just like,
Oh Lord.
we just throw it up in the air and we see what sticks. And sometimes the gameplay kind of sees that.
Yeah,
all
I've been
good.
stuck in the Shadow Realm. I've been talking about the teams. I've been talking about the games. I was talking about my thoughts, but none of it was being picked up.
We don't
So that's
know.
unfortunate.
None of your thoughts.
But I mean, we can talk about that quite a little bit. I think going to Oregon, these teams have played both this map in the qualifier. throughout from the very beginning to the point that we are now. For Hush, they played it a total of 2 times out of the 8 games that they played, and they have won it twice. Whereas Phantom Legion, of course, you mentioned their loss yesterday. They played it a total of 3 times, losing it once but winning it twice. The loss that they did have was a 7-2 loss, so not really the best of showings on Oregon in that recent game that they've had, in the most recent game that they've had on this map. And coming up against a team like Hush, where it's a Knicks team. He loves structured play. He loves coordination. He likes to rule his teams with, I feel like I shouldn't say an iron fist, but that's what it feels like, especially if you've been like around T2 and around T3 for as long and you hear about how Knicks likes to IGL his teams.
Fans have been pretty straightforward. I haven't seen anything really crazy so far in my time in Blitz Gaming. Seems to be the only predictable area in terms of the games and just the overall structure of what's been happening. Well, I say that Flores has been banned. I haven't seen a Flores in a long time. So that means Monty's on the board, and it's going to be interesting to see if any of these teams bring it out.
Yeah, Flores is not a very common ban on Oregon, but I think he's quite a decent ban. I don't think this is the thing though, like I feel like most teams nowadays, they don't usually have many many different options for a ban on the attack. You either ban Dokkaebi, Ying, or Monty. I feel like banning the Flores, or I don't feel like it, I know this is going to be the case. With Flores being banned, Dokkaebi and Monty are going to be left open. Monty is a really good operator for a person like Nyx, who likes to play a little bit more backline support. And leaving that open as Phantom Legion is kind of a big question mark to me. But yeah, that's a very interesting ban to say the least. The final bans are going to be Valkyrie and Kaid to end us off. And I think those bans make a lot more sense than a Flores ban here.
Yeah, so Kaid getting banned kind of makes that basement hold a little bit more death from above style, because it's going to be very difficult to obviously hold those hatches. It's just going to take one Hibana trap, boom, and those are opened. So no resistance really. So you're going to see a lot of teams go from above. But I think it's really interesting because in a lot of my casting since our newest patch update, we haven't been seeing a lot of Monty play. Montaigne has been banned pretty much every single time. So I'm curious for you, Chaka, where do you think we're going to see Monty really start to make its impression on the map?
Since Hush are starting off on the attack, I assume that Monty's going to be picked quite a bit. I have my opinions on how Nyx likes to play to Monty, but I think a lot of people will say that Nyx is a pretty okay-ish Monty player, especially at this level where a lot of teams seem to struggle to deal around a Monty. I think you think about like the impact nerfs, right? And also, yeah, that's really about it. Impact nerfs being a big thing against the shields kind of make the shields a lot stronger, especially even the Blitz too. But Monty more so just because of how his shield works. But we're going to be starting off in a basement site here for Phantom Legion, and this is usually the primary site choice for many teams. You have your mainstays on this basement site, the Mira, the Smoke, and the Goyo. A lot of utility to waste a lot of time.
Phantom Legion, they had a perfect start, and then it all kind of came crumbling down with 2 separate losses yesterday. And now it's Hush, who are also sitting up on top of the bracket. This is a battle to who can be the number 1. Phantom Legion at 6-2, Hush at 7-1. If Phantom Legion can do this, they'd really shake it up, and potentially it would be Bottle Service who might be taking that top spot. So everything's to play for here as we begin our Oregon map.
It's going to be an extended roam here from Phantom Legion. There was some support originally in the server area, and a player from Freezer Stairs has completely backed off. But there's also 2 players on the top floor, Valeno and Trist, and Nyx is going to rush in with the Monty towards Trophy, but does he know that Trist is here?
Nyx is doing a lot of, and that's kind of the beauty of having a Monty, but kills are already going down. Nyx is upstairs, but the action's happening downstairs. Multiple players dropping. Trev is getting some kills. He's been a pop-up player for this side, formerly of SSGA. Now Nyx is still making his way, but this is going to give some sights and some options to attack from now that we're in a 3v3.
Yeah, 2 minutes left to go. A lot of this late round utility that can be used against you, depending on how quickly Hush move towards the site and work in execution, is going to be pretty useless. You might have to see these smoke grenades come out a little bit early to delay Hush from executing properly, but at least you have a 3v3. It's not far gone. It's not a 5v3 where you have plenty of options to attack this from if you are the attack. It's just going to be very linear because you don't really have a lot of manpower in order to push in from the back, but that's not going to stop Juan on the Grim to maybe work a push or a flank down those tower stairs.
My eyes are on Trev. He has the C4. He might be able to throw one right over the shoulder of Nyx and catch him out and the Monty shield. But he's almost like a human shield when you've got that, when you have that up, or a human drone, I should say. Sorry, not a human shield. He can just get so much ground taken care of. But here comes the execute. They're going to use the Grim and get some area launched up. But now, all of a sudden, it's all down to Juan in a 1v3. So it looks like Phantom Legion is going to be able to hold on to this unless something's up the sleeve of Juan. He does have a minute to work, but he's going to swing the corner, and it just gets a little bit unlucky on the timing as the shotgun comes into play. And the first round expectedly goes to Hush here on the basement site.
Phantom Legion with originally a good start and also a nice little roam at the beginning. That was picked apart quite well by Hush towards the end of it, but then during their execution, I don't really understand what completely happened because two players just randomly died to one. Seemed like the Goyo got like 2 picks over by Highway, and there was nobody from Hush who seemingly had the information on that positioning. So Phantom Legion get an easy closeout in a 3v3 when Hush could have made that quite challenging for them, especially considering the time constraints. There's really not enough time to make, because it's so early in a round and you see Hush trying to move in towards the site, a lot of the time wasting utility that Phantom Legion has towards the end can be rendered quite effective, especially if Hush move a little bit quicker and more together, but they didn't really do that. You saw players kind of like split up and tank 1v1 engagements, and that wasn't really well put together from Hush, especially considering the fact that they did have that Monty.
Yeah, it felt like the time, they weren't really using it all too well, as they really only got their bearings together later towards the round because Nyx was still worried about upstairs, and he finally only made his way downstairs way late into the round. Here we go, a chance for Hush to bounce back. That is obviously a site that always is going to benefit the defense. And so far, looking at the operator selection, it obviously is an eye glaring. You have to look when somebody picks the Monty because we rarely see it now with these bans. But outside of that, this does look pretty standard.
Second time in a row that Hush is going to pick into the Monty, specifically Nyx is going to play into it. And he may just move towards the trophy position. If you notice anything about trophy and just the floorings beneath it, there's no soft destruction. So like if somebody were to try and flank and maybe go for a nitro, that wouldn't affect Nyx all that much because the floor beneath them is indestructible. The rest though of Phantom Legion seemingly picked off away from trophy, reinforcing the game's wall. And now they've just given up this control over to Hush, who have seemingly worked the utility game to their advantage.
Yeah, a bunker style is what we're looking from Phantom. There's no roamers, so it's just all about tucking in and holding your irons. And they're going for the attic wall, it looks like, courtesy of the Maverick. Hold might be open, but somebody's ready on the side of Phantom Legion. It looks like it's Trev, but he also has to worry about who's pushing through trophy. He might be able to cook a C4. There's a lot of players edging over there. The C4 comes through and it actually connects, but Nyx is able to tank it, and that extra health kind of keeps him up.
You have to depend on this attic push working. They're going to try and open the game's wall, but the game's breach doesn't really matter as long as you don't have if you don't have any pressure coming in from attic. They don't even bring a ranged hard breacher like an ace in order to open up the attic wall and make pit basically unplayable for Trev Mack, who has seemingly backed off of that area for now, and he's looking to play more towards site. Attic control given up to Hush after some initial pressure coming in from the main wall, making that pit position very, very dangerous. You've set yourself up pretty well, Hush, and now you have the Monty just outside of reach of the site with the diffuser inside of trophy. He could probably get in a good position to plant concrete if they clear enough of these power positions on site.
First player down is Zolaris. Nyx is still on low HP, but Phantom Legion, they're just holding down. But it looks like Rival, he's created a flank. He's moved around. You can see towards the back right of your screen, and he's going to find a kill. That's Unstoppable who's going to drop. And now Hush, they have to reconsider what's going on because there's multiple players everywhere. Beleno finds one. The window shut down. Dead drops. Nyx drops, and immediately Phantom Legion, from going bunkered in, escape the pressure and find another round. And this is expected. Those two sites are usually taken on Oregon, but now we head to basement, or excuse me, not basement, first floor. And this is where you have to make your mark, Hush.
Yeah, tertiary sites are usually where you look to get your first win on the attack, though I'll be completely honest, I didn't really like that second round coming in from Hush. They got the control that they needed by Trophy, they got Attic, they got the Games Breach open. They just don't really have enough to then go in for a plant on concrete. Players are just dying in a lot of different positions. Your big window player dies first, meaning that you have less angles to cover or less positions to cut off. And then now Phantom Legion are in a really good spot to play these power positions on site to deny you direct entry in from the site. Trevmac inside of the kid's bedroom, or rather it was Valeno instead, was able to deny the entry coming in from Attic. And that, once you get rid of the Attic push, it makes it so much easier to then deny the plant going in on concrete from Hush. And so they just couldn't really carve a good way inside of sight. Hopefully it's a lot easier coming in onto the first floor here of meeting in kitchen.
Rival was the key player in that because he was able to drop a hatch and just pop a flank and really throw that Hush attack out of sorts, because then they were looking everywhere and there's too many angles onto that Hush attack. But now they have a better chance. This time Nyx is going to be running the Amaru, so he might try to just get quick control off the rip of a floor maybe. And he's going for tower control, so it looks like they've droned that out and they've given Nyx to clear to go towards that tower control.
Thing is that they don't have an OSA for the meeting plant, so that tells me that they don't really want to go for a meaty plant here. They may just get a kill, and that's exactly what Nyx does, and that creates a lot of attention over by meeting. It makes Phantom Legion think that there's probably going to be something going on by meeting, but because there is no OSA, that's not the focus that Hush want to have. They want to get this full second floor control and then maybe go for a plant over by kitchen, just because if you don't have an OSA over by meeting, it's basically impossible to go for a stage plant. So now Hush, there is one player up here. They have to find a way to isolate them, and their drone game has to be like pretty decent, especially with these meat jammers on the top floor.
My eyes are on the Boss G visual, Valeno. He is on a roam. He was over towards this top building, but now Nyx is also the other player you do have to keep an eye on, because he's already found an opening pick. But Phantom Legion, they do have some players that are not necessarily in the objective, and it looks like the vertical play is what's being prioritized right now from Phantom.
Yeah, but they still haven't found this player up top, and they throw some flashes in, so maybe they do know that he's up here. Flashes go in, he's fully white, but a team kill happens, and 2 kills is on the board here for Phantom Legion. And just like that, Hush on this top floor hold, no info on exactly where the Legion is, no info on where Valeno is, and that leaves dead in a 1v4 off rip.
Said Phantom Legion, they had a 7-2 loss yesterday on this map, and now they look poised to get already off the rip more round wins than they did last time. It's only Dead who can potentially put a stop to that, but this looks and feels and sniffs of a Phantom Legion 3-0 start on the defense. It just collapsed. They had their player isolated over towards kids. They threw the flashes, but then a team kill came through. Maybe there's a miscommunicated flash, but it all breaks the way of Phantom Legion, and surely this is going to be a 3 defensive round win.
Dead at the end of it. Trevmac with the Mossberg shot. And that's the 3rd round confirmed in a row for Phantom Legion. Hush having some really big issues in clearing that top floor. And the mute jammers, you can count that down to the mute jammers just doing the job and denying a lot of info from Hush when it comes to trying to clear that top floor effectively. They didn't really know exactly where the Legion was. There was a team kill that happened, and I'm not too sure how the team kill happened or what prompted it to happen. The only thing that I can think of is the fact that I did see some vertical right under the kid's doorway, and so they probably saw somebody from Phantom Legion right below them, and that prompted the ram to shoot, but like the teammate just ran in front of her. That's really about it. Phantom Legion though now have this opportunity to go in their attack, and they have to attack into the same exact site that well, it wasn't their primary site choice, but it's now Hush's primary site choice, the basement site.
Now Hush is really feeling the pressure here. It pretty much makes it seem like, all right, we have to now replicate some of that magic on our own offense. And this just gives every bit of control of Phantom Legion. They really need it right now. They had a very difficult day. They were the only undefeated team remaining heading into yesterday. And then they lost terribly on Chalet 7-0. They followed that up with a win, a bounce back, and then they lost 7-2, obviously, on Oregon. But they seem to maybe have the VOD. They didn't obviously ban it. So they have some sort of fix, some sort of thing in their mind that they're allowing themselves to get back into this one. Looking at the operator selection, Phantom Legion also going to bring out the Monty, and it's going to be this time in the hands of Trev.
Don't usually see Trev mech on a Monty or on a shield player at all. He's usually more comfortable on a gun, but I kind of like the fact that both teams are trying to abuse the Monty as much as possible, and this is what we expect, right? Especially if he's left up in the meta that we're in. Monty is just the bee's knees, and if you're not picking him when he's available, then you're in a world of hurt. Nick's looking for the early gunfight just outside of Big Tower, but some information may make him want to move away, but no, he's going to keep holding this angle, and he gets absolutely smoked. Valeno with the opener onto Nyx, and now that's Big Tower control in favor of Phantom Legion.
Nice shot there from Valeno, and immediately that gives the whole tower side of the map over towards Phantom Legion. What's Trev up to? Is he maybe making some moves? Freezer's nicely secured, but that tower, it's unstoppable, who now has to worry about the bottom side. If anybody tries to push from that area, he is able to make his own barriers with the zombie operator. But still, minute 40 on the clock. Phantom Legion is in a great position right now.
You have the flank. You can tell what type of push they're going for as well. Flank coming in through Big Tower, main push coming in through the front side. Trev Mech is obviously going to go down the Freezer stairs in order to put some pressure onto the highway players so that they can have an easier time planting. But now you have to deal with the small closet player, and you have the utility to deal with that as well. Capital bolts for highway and also for the small closet, and also the Grim Beast to help give you information and lock down those positions. This is a very great setup so far from Phantom Legion. They just need to be moving a lot quicker than what they're doing right now.
A minute on the clock. Phantom Legion, they're going to begin their execute soon. They have the man advantage. Valeno is down to 16 HP. The Grims are out. Trev makes his way forward. He's putting some pressure. Punches are being thrown.
What?
And Solaris stands tall to Trev. There's
What?
another kill. And now it's Hush who has the man advantage. It's a 4v2, a 3v2, a 2v2. Just like that, Rival bounces right back in for Phantom Legion. And now it's all down to Dead in a 1v2. 38 seconds on the clock. Phantom Legion do have the time to work with, but they have to get the diffuser down or hunt down this last player remaining. The drone work is coming through. They now know his position. Here comes the collapse from Phantom Legion. They're going to make this work happen. Oh, and a great pick there to Rival. That was the start player shutdown. Dead has full HP. Valeno only has 16. And the pre-fire comes through, and Hush clutch it up. It's a collapse from Phantom Legion, but you still have to keep in mind this is a favorite site for the defense, so it's not too perilous for Phantom.
Yeah, but I think Phantom Legion had a good advantage going into that round. They had everything that they needed to set up. You have the flank coming in from Big Tower. You have your main push coming in from the front. You have all of the utility that you could hope for in going for an execute. I think the real crux of that wasn't really the 1v2 at the end, where I think the way that it ended is a really big problem for Phantom Legion that I'm going to talk about right now, but it's the fact that at the beginning of that round, or at the beginning of that execute, when Phantom Legion were trying to go in through Freezer, Trev goes in by himself, and there's nobody to back him up, so he gets killed, doesn't get immediately traded out until it's later on into the round where Rival catches the Wamai as he's full white flash, and then towards the end of it, you saw the 1v2. Both players knew exactly where the Tuberal was, but they both give him 1v1 engagement gunfights that just wasn't really well coordinated in the end from Phantom Legion. So the same issues that we saw for Hush in terms of their coordination in their end round seems to be a really big issue for Phantom Legion in their own.
Hush snapped the waves that Phantom Legion were sending, and they found themselves a good position. Oh, that drone got spotted out by Unstoppable, as he's going to pick the Sentry. An operator that's not necessarily rare, but it is eye-opening when you do see a Sentry or a Striker for that matter selected. But so far, looking at our operator selections, nothing is too crazy here. You mentioned on the attack for Hush, you would have liked to seen an Ace to get some of those walls opened up easier. This time, it looks like Phantom Legion is going to make that choice.
Have plenty of stall utility here from Hush, and again, this is where the effect of the Maverick ban, or not Maverick ban, but the Forest ban comes in, because you don't really have a lot of utility to deal with these zombie barriers and the deployable shields as well. That Hush have stacked on top of this setup on this trophy extension, which begs me to question why not ban the zombie if you've banned the Flores as well. But okay, opening comes in though from Hush, and that's onto Nito. That ace already down, so if they close up these game's wall, they won't really have another way of opening apart from the hard breach charge, which is a really big risk on that soft flooring.
The Buck does have a hard breach charge, and then you obviously have the Maverick that can start opening things up. And Trevmark responds back with a massive kill there. He's going to find Unstoppable. That's the Sentry down, but you would imagine that some of that utility was used, so it might not be that big of a loss to lose the Sentry. And he's worried about the flank. Ooh, and there's a roaming player, Trist, and he catches out Nyx, who was trying to catch somebody off guard. It's now a 3v4 in favor of the offense.
That's a really weird flank to go for, Nyx, and it's very risky to get called out for it because flanking on main stairs is almost expected at this point, and now you've given Phantom Legion a 4v3 with full trophy control. You can't really flank in a 4v3 neither because then you just give up site control and Phantom Legion can go for an execute. All in all, it's not the best position for Hush to be in, and Phantom Legion have completely ditched the trophy execute because there's so much utility in their way and they themselves don't have utility to deal with it. They're now going to go for a white heavy and big window execute, it seems.
50 seconds on the clock. Phantom Legion, they were in this position before on their last offense. They had the numbers, and dropping from the hatch. It's now a 2v3. Valeno with a nice kill. They're dead as well, is going to also get a response, but the diffuser is going down. The C4 through, doesn't connect. Diffuser down. Now it's up to Hush. They're down a man, but it's going to be 2v2. Dead finds one downstairs. Juan is upstairs. He finds the swing on the Trev. Beautiful aim. 64 health for Valeno. The shotgun comes out. Close range proximity. Hush gets the round win. Dead clutches up once again. The man of the hour. When the moment comes to him, he finds the kill. 7-3. And a much needed round for Hush. And now, really, the eyes come down. Can they win on the third site? To first floor we go.
Can't believe that round actually, because Hush really had no business winning that. Like, you have the big window open, white stairs seemingly in your control, vertical is causing a lot of issues to the point where it causes Hush to go for a big rotate, even for a player that doesn't even have a nitro cell to go then down into the first floor. Yes, they do get the kill, but that gives Phantom Legion the confidence to then just jump into big window and get a plant down. I think at the end of it though, it just seemed like they just didn't have enough information on the retake there from Hush, who played the trade game almost beautifully towards the end. It's a very nice retake though from Hush because again, they didn't really have much of an advantage inside of the round, and Phantom Legion really had the perfect position to execute from. I will say though, I really did like that change up from Phantom Legion. They realized that, hey, look, we're wasting a lot of time on a trophy execute and we're really not getting anything done. Let's go for a big window and a white stairs execute. And that almost worked out, but the retake was just really excellent from Hush.
So we're not going to be seeing a meeting setup here from Hush. It's actually going to be the other site for their selection. And this is interesting. We're seeing some operator changes for Phantom Legion. What do you think is the key here to crack at this site that we rarely see in competitive Rainbow?
Looking at the operator picks in terms of like to answer your question, because really the key thing here is because of the way that they're trying to set this up, it looks like they want to try and get the second floor control, which I totally agree with. I think that if you want to be very successful on this site, and it looks like they may go for meeting instead of where teams usually go because it's easier to attack, which is the small tower side, they're going to go in for meeting. And I think this makes a lot of sense. There doesn't really seem to be much emphasis on this side of the map from Hush. And why would it be? Because teams don't usually push in from this side. You can already tell that that Buck is going to be pushing up the main stairs already. He's got some important map control, but they have to be careful of their flanks because Nyx is privy to just go for these flanks that nobody really expects.
Yeah, Nyx once again on the roam. He's off to a struggling start, the captain, at 1-5. Hush has seen a lot of roster changes, but it's always Nyx who stays around. And now he's going to be hanging out towards downstairs. But there's a lot of emphasis also for the upstairs hold. There's a separate fight going on upstairs. Juan is the first line of contact alongside his teammate Zolaris. Valeno is also trying to make the breach onto these two players. Here comes an execute onto the second floor. The stun is out. Oh, the C4 from below. Nick says, I don't want to be left out from the party, and gets a kill. Taking out Valeno. It's not too crazy to be missing your Amaru, but the man advantage goes to Hush.
even though they lose the first pick, it's not going to slow Phantom Legion down in their process of trying to then go in from meeting, but you do have to clear this top 4. You can't just leave it to open. Rival doesn't have any art breach charge to then open up the kid's wall from pit. So this is going to create a lot of issues, meaning that Phantom Legion may need to try something a little bit newer, something a little bit freaky, in order to then encounter the second floor pressure that is very vertical heavy here from Hush that could cause a lot of issues on this execute. Were Phantom Legion to go for it right now?
Phantom Legion, they've got less than a minute to work with here. They're still worrying about the vertical play, and they should, because Zolaris is creeping through. He's got another one in his sights. It's hitting that metal beam, and that metal beam just saved one of the players for Phantom Legion. Oh my goodness, the skeleton key up close and personal from Rival. He's going to get 2 and bring this down to a 3v3. The diffuser in the hands of Trev, and here comes a late pinch from Unstoppable up the white stairs, but it looks like they're aware of it. The stun comes through, bullets are being exchanged. Is there going to be a kill? Yes, Trev, he's going to make this one a 3v2. Now 20 seconds remain. What's going to happen here? The diffuser not in sight just yet, but as I say that, Trev actually does get in sight. He's going to get the diffuser down. Will it be the final one? Drop the diffuser, so the diffuser's not down. There's 10 seconds left. Unstoppable finds 2. He finds the hat drop. Rival is in a bit of a pinch here, but he does find 1. 5 seconds remaining. Unstoppable, he just has to play his life. Rival's gonna swing the corner. Does he have the diffuser? No, but the kill doesn't go his way. Unstoppable, they do it as well on defense. What a great play there from Hush, and the clutch from Unstoppable makes this a defensive game. Who will crack first?
I'm in awe because that round made absolutely no sense. Like, originally Phantom Legion didn't really look good to go for the plant that they wanted to go for. I mean, for goodness sakes, they planted right below vertical, even though Rival wasn't really in a good position to really aggress quite yet. He aggresses almost right after. I wouldn't necessarily say it was the perfect time. He gets 2 picks. That's vertical control in favor of Phantom Legion. They don't have enough control though to then go for a plant because you're still worried about security. You're still worried about these long angles. They deal with the security player. Okay, that's good. Now they're attempting the plant. But then who's watching the flank? Dokubi's in security hall, but she's not really watching much of anything. And I think that's where that whole push kind of like failed to, I think that's where that whole execute just failed to be successful. It just didn't work out because they had way too many things to watch. They just didn't necessarily worry about. And I think that if you want to really put it down onto someone, it's really the Dokubi, who wasn't necessarily watching anything, or not necessarily watching anything. She was in security hall. She's trying to watch for a flank. But that's exactly what happens. All in all, it's not really a good attacking half for neither teams, and it's flawless on either team's defensive side.
And look at this. This looks very aggressive from Hush. They've got the blitz, they've got the Monty. It's going to be a shield game here. They brought no hard breacher, however, I would yeah, so the Monty is the only one who has hard breaching capabilities if they want to try through. But Nyx already find the opening kill. This is going to be a rush dash. They're trying to push through the bunker / barrel side of the map. They've got one of the Goyo canisters pop, so immediately they're already getting one of those time denial utilities out. They also got a smoke out. So it looked like Phantom Legion, they were very concerned about that rush plan.
It initially started off from construction, and that was really about it. But you also had a push going on at the same time down Freezer, and that's where Nyx found the opening kill. Veleno looking to go for a flank, and these flanks from both teams on the defenses has worked off well. For Hush, it's worked off numerous amount of times when Nyx has gone for it, when Unstoppable has gone for it, and this time it may work for Veleno, but he's been caught out, and that's really good flank watch coming in from Hush. Dad is on 10 HP though, so he's one hit if he gets into a gunfight. He's kind of isolated here all by himself upstairs.
Yeah, they both kind of went blow for blow there. Veleno comes out with just that little bit more health, although he has the 110 compared to the Dokubi 100. Speaking of Dokubi, the call is going to go out. Smokes and Goyo canisters are all being dropped. It's now a 4v4. Rival equalizes it. Nito finds another, and the execute, as we've been saying all day long, has just been kind of struggling. However, Juan, he's going to blitz his way on in, get the flash out, get the kill, making this a 3v3. 3v2, Zolaris gets a kill, and it's more dancing with the shield. Nyx is going to get it. It's all down to Rival. He's had some clutch moments at 9-3, but it's not going to happen. And we saw defensive proudness in the previous 6, and now the basement cracks, and it's Phantom Legion who find themselves around.
the importance of the elbow position being taken away by Hush, and that gives the first
Or
round from
or hold on, I said Phantom Legion. Excuse me.
Phantom
Hush
Legion.
wins the offense. You got to call me out
Yes.
when I say something stupid like that, Chaka.
To be fair, I did not hear you. I was watching that whole round, and I'm just looking at everything as to how, why, what, and when. There's like 2 shields in a 3v3, and somehow they just win that. And the reason why, I guess, is because, well, Smoke is in a very vulnerable position against a blitz, and the only thing that he has are smoke grenades, which he already uses to try and like slow down that push. And by the time he's ran out of smoke grenades, he's very lonely against this blitz who has the ability to flash him and then try and shoot him as he runs away. Once they get that elbow position though, a lot of the positions around sight become virtually unplayable. The freezer doorway is now a very, very dangerous position. You can't necessarily rotate in between sites without getting shot. And highway is now very much vulnerable to a lot of different positions, meaning that once Phantom Legion lost that elbow position, you can see the players, they're not really sure where to look, and it makes that whole site just so vulnerable just because one position was lost. And now Phantom Legion opt to go right back to that very same site with Hush picking into the same 2 shield operators yet again.
This time they're going to bring out an Oryx, so might be able to get up close and personal and show off an NFL like shoulder tackle if Trev can get into a good position. Is that how they're going to deal with all of that aggression? But so far, the story has been a struggle on the execution side of things from the offense as they get into position, but the kills just don't find their way. However, Hush does crack the code, and they're able to take one of the most difficult sites, the basement. Patris is on the roam. He might be able to catch somebody. Is there any drones that might be able to help out Hush here? I don't think they know. Tris, he might be able to have to play. He's got 2 players on the other side, but check your back. Oh, no!
What?
Oh, that one got scary. Unstoppable went for the melee, and he missed. But thankfully, he doesn't get turned around. He's brought down to 16 HP. Hush is in another good position. That was scary. I thought he was going to choke that fight.
Because, like, the reason why it's so scary, that's even scarier. Jesus Christ. Swan goes down. Trev Mac finds the Rima Dash onto the Blitz. And that's already the man count back in favor, right back even between Phantom Legion and Hush. And now they can't even pin down his position. Trev Mac finds 2 on this roam. He's now 10-4, and Hush have a really big problem on their hands.
Wow, Trev is really coming alive right here. Hush, and I believe there's one other team that only have 1 loss right now. Let me double check. It's Bottle Service. They're the only team with 1 loss. Phantom Legion might be able to bring Hush down to that 2-loss category, and they're looking good so far. But as I say that, Nyx, he runs through with the shield. He steps on a Legion 9. He's down to 26 HP, but he has found a kill. Phantom Legion have a good health pool, but Trev is in another area. He might have to come down and give some support. Zolaris drops the hatch. 50 seconds on the clock. Diffuser is in the hand of the Monty, but can he get in safely? He is on that low HP. Here comes the execute. The EMPs are being thrown out. Hush is looking to make their mark now. Can they win 2 rounds in a row here on the basement hold? The adjustment so far from Trev on that Oryx has been going through. They were able to eliminate one of the shields, but here comes the Diffuser. Zolaris finds a kill. Diffuser going through. Zolaris finds another. A 3v1. Zolaris with the triple! And the offense is now what is in store. It's been from the halftime. It's been all Hush. And it's now 5-3. The basement has been cracked.
No plant denial available for Phantom Legion towards the end of it. No nitro cells, no smoke grenades, nothing to delay that plant or stop it fully coming in from Hush. And so you see them being forced to peek, because once you hear that plant go down, they really have no other option other than to try and swing onto the default plant position. Zolaris and Pillar held that perfectly fine, killing every single player that tried to cross in front of his path. And really what they needed in that position was most likely the freezer position, which they didn't necessarily have. There was nobody playing an elbow by Hush for the longest in that round, especially because Trev Mac was playing right next to the elbow wall. And just at the end of it, Hush just held their ground when they really needed to, because they simply had the better positioning than Phantom Legion did at the end.
Nyx started off poorly, but he has really come alive here on these attacking rounds. So has Zolaris with that cheeky triple kill to help secure the last second heroics. the Hush. They have found themselves now in the driving seat. We're going to see a switch up on the side. Phantom Legion selecting to go upstairs. No more Monty for this one. Instead, Nyx is going to be playing on that Capitao. What do you think the execute is going to look like here from Hush?
Looking at their spawn points, it seems like they are focusing, because they don't have an ace here and they don't really have many hard breaching. They don't have any hard breaching options actually.
Really?
Meaning that maybe... like, no, none at all. So
but there's
this
nothing in
looks
the
like
back
it's gonna
pocket
be...
of like a Grim?
Nope.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So that limits you, right? And it just makes it very one-dimensional, your attack.
I mean, that really depends. Like, for this attack, obviously Hush don't really care about doing a split take from Attic and on games. They want to do a very heavy big window plant surrounding a lot of their utility. But the issue is that, like, you have Womai here, but the good thing about it though is that it's only the Womai, there's no Warden.
It looks like Hush have a clear plan. They might not have a plan B, though, if they can't get through this double window.
Oh my, great
and
Google
dead with a
Wiggly.
nasty angle onto Triss. They continue their attacking prowess, now making this a 5v4 in favor of the offense. And you can see Phantom Legion is really scared, and that's the Echo down. Oh, and it's a 5v3 unstoppable. It just walks right up the white stairs. And he's just going to go for the Dokkaebi call. Looks like the execute, but Valeno, he comes alive. And in the blink of an eye, it's a 3v2. Diffuser going down. Dead's just going to elect to try it now, but the floor is trying to get the floor shots. He's shooting through the floor. Is the diffuser down? No, it's going to drop. I thought the plant went through, but now it's all up to Nyx. What just happened there? Hush had the kills. They had the movement. Immediately, I think it was Valeno who was able to get all those kills. Phantom Legion stomp out that attack.
Now it's left up to Nyx on a 1v3. No more Capitao utility because they wasted that on this execute. And yeah, you can isolate one player. Nobody else is swinging off of that jump in, that audio jump in from Nyx through the big window. And it's Trevmac to confirm the last kill. That really failed to happen because they got flanked, simply put. I mentioned it earlier that when Hush were going for those flanks, they were quite successful in doing it, especially a number of times through Nyx and Unstoppable. That time it came through Valeno just rushing in from, I believe it was just going through the other side of the map, then going in through Security Hall, and then he flanks two players who weren't necessarily expecting it. And you really have to call into question not only Phantom Legion's flank control, but also Hush's flank control, because they have had issues with their flank control a number of times. They even opted into picking Nomad one round, but they didn't even place their air jabs on the green hall, which allowed the flank to come in early. And yes, they dealt with that in the round number 8, I believe. But still, there's been a really big issue from both teams when it comes to their flank control. And it's easy to be like, okay, yeah, pick a Nomad, but I also think you could just, I don't know.
Flank camera, yeah. Better flank cameras, because that hasn't really been the best from neither team. I would definitely agree with you. There's always those late heroics on who wants to play spoiler, showing up late to the party. Phantom Legion, they are now on the attack. They've got to put up some magic here. They can only really afford to give up one, and if they do so, it would have to be for their sake in overtime. So 2 wins is a must from Phantom Legion here on the offense. And we started off with 6 defensive rounds. Hush then showed how to get it done on basement. What do you think the key is for Phantom to replicate some of that success that Hush showed?
Let's see if they can find an opening pick. Maybe that'll start the key to their success. But does he know that there's a player doubling up on that too? This is the issue. They don't really have information apart from the blitz just running in through security corridor. Actually, no, mistake. That is the Monty of Trevmac, but Nick still finds the opening pick. Rival's now down, and he has a player outside of lobby that he evades from through the split double door in the meeting, and now he's just going to rotate back to site. Great start for Hush and a great opportunity to close out this round and put themselves on match point.
Hush, if they win this game, they will qualify. So everything is being played for here. All of the eyes are on Hush for our first potential team to qualify to the next round. And the man advantage has gone their way. Phantom Legion, can they cook up something? They haven't had any luck on offense when they had their turn. But Hush has shown that there is a possibility. There is a chance to do it. But your Monty is down 51 health. You've lost Rival. And Valeno and Trev, they've been the ones who have been carrying alongside Rival as well, but Rival's missing from this equation.
That could just depend on maybe some mistakes coming in here from Hush, because they have the perfect utility to hold off this plant. They have the positioning, pillar. Yeah, the push is coming down big tower stairs, and they're now starting off with the capital boats.
Here comes Trev. Does he know that somebody's hanging out there? Yes, he does. So that's good drone work to figure out that the information's there. They're going to get the kill. However, Nyx is trying to kill in the background. It's a 3v3. Nito with 2. He's going to walk right on through the smoke. He seems to not care. He seems to only have blood and kills on his mind. What can Phantom Legion do on the offense? They've made this one an equalizer, but it's full health for everyone that's left for Hush. Nito down to 19. Diffuser picked up. Can Phantom Legion find the opportunity, the gap in the defense, or will it be a Hush match point here? 30 seconds now on the clock. Phantom Legion, they have to do something, and something soon. The utility is pretty much gone. They've only got smokes for the way of Nito. Will that be enough to find the attack? The diffuser going down. The diffuser is stopped. Juan stands tall. That's diffuser on the floor. 20 seconds remain. Valeno, he's going to have to make a move. He does find a kill. Actually, that's Trish who's going to pick it up. Running through the smoke is Valeno. They know where this player is. It's a 1v1. Valeno's made the read, but Dead's made the kill. And the vet stands tall. Hush, 1 round away from qualifying.
Hush had just the right tools for the job in order to stop that plant, not only in terms of utility, but also position. Again, Fraser player left unchecked by Phantom Legion, and they go for a really tough plant without really much control to work with. They don't really, I thought with the lone Heartbreach chart that they did have in the back pocket of Grim, or whoever had it, would then go over to Elbow, and if they open up that long angle from Elbow looking directly into Freezer, then you have a direct line of sight into that position that stopped you from planting in the first place. They also had a Nitro Cell which missed, but they still had something to put a lot of pressure on that execute for Phantom Legion. I will say though that Phantom Legion did a very good job of keeping up in their trade game with Hush, especially when it came to then executing over by Pillar. They just had a complete oversight when it came to their execute that turned to bite them in the end.
Phantom Legion, the pressure is on. Hush, 1 round away from the next stage. We go to our second floor. We have not seen an offensive win here yet. Phantom Legion all to play for here. And this is, we're seeing a line, which we have not seen yet. They used to have, I believe it was a Maverick on their last crack that they made onto the second floor. Jaka, a crucial round for Phantom Legion. And what do they got to do here on the second floor?
They just gotta win. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Well, yes.
Yeah, but like, I'll be completely honest. Just have better control of your flanks. They've been very good at like getting in around the site and setting themselves up for an execute. But then it just kind of fails because they have like a slight little oversight. They have info on Nyx's position over by Split, but that's completely countered by a nice little headshot onto Trevmac, and that's completely taken out one of your star players in what could be the final round of this matchup.
Trev down. Nyx finds the head. He's been so aggressive with the roaming, and he's going to have it pay in dividends, giving his team an early life advantage. But we've seen this before. Life advantage goes to one side, and it immediately flips the other way. Hold on. Rival opens up the floor underneath a Hush player. Juan gets pushed out. I just said it. Life advantage goes one way. They get flipped immediately. It's now a 3v3. A 3v2. Dead with the double. And it looks like it will be a round win for Hush and a berth into the next stage here in the Blitz Gaming. But there's still some players that might try to play spoiler, and Rival is one of them as he's gonna shut down Dead. Dead has been popping off as he had a nice double kill here. Now it's all up to Zolaris and Unstoppable to potentially send them to the next round. Hush, they can smell it. They might be able even to breathe it. Phantom Legion, they have to show something, some sort of life here. Now, Rival is down below. He's going to start opening up the floor once again. Can't find the Azami as Olaris escapes. Oh, but they're continuing to put pressure on him. They are really out for blood. They might have a drone on him, but they have some sort of information. And Nito, it's now his turn. 23 HP for Solaris. And Nito's going to go and look and give Rival the instructions about exactly where to press. But there's been so much pressure from down below.
Yes, they also have the information aiding that too. They've been trying to go for that vertical play, but it's not quite been working out. They do some slight damage or they do some slight pressure onto Unstoppable, who's still completely full HP, but now you've given up where the full brunt of your execute is coming from, and Hush have repositioned just to meet you there.
Here it comes. Zolaris swings, puts some damage down. Rival down to 17 HP. The big window's hot. He just walked out through and says, hey, how you doing? I live here, by the way. There comes the skeleton key. It's now a 1v2. Phantom Legion say not just yet. Rival with 2 kills. And now it's 6-5. Does Phantom Legion have what it takes to send this one to overtime?
Yeah, I mean, that was Hush's round to lose at the end of it. There wasn't really anything to grab from that round from Phantom Legion in terms of like their soft vert potential. They weren't really doing a lot of damage. They caused some repositionings, yes, but the repositionings only happened because Hush were putting themselves in good positions to stop the entries from happening. That really came down in the end because Unstoppable couldn't kill the big window player who jumped in even though he had a couple of free shots at him. All in all, another match point opportunity for Hush on a very strong site, and they're gonna make some changes already. Red Rogue, Mira this time around, Wamai on a completely different player. Dead is playing it this time, and Unstoppable's not having the Wamai here. He's having the Sentry with the deployable shield combined with the Azami berries as well. This has been a pretty potent combination that both teams have experimented with on their defenses.
So we're going to see a Mira. We don't see actually really a lot of Mira. What do you think was the reason for some of these changes here?
That's a good question because, like, I'm gonna be completely honest, I have no idea. I think for Mira on this site, she does have some really good advantage. Oh, you know what? Actually, there is a really good setup over by Kid Storms looking directly into big windows. So I think they just wanted to have a closer eye on that exact positioning. You can have it on the walls in between sites, or you can have it coming in from pit. And it looks like they put the mirror window facing big window, while also having a mirror window in pit looking directly into trophy. So you do have the support system here for Zolaris to not only play behind the shields, but he also has a person behind a mirror right behind him too.
Nyx is up all night to get lucky. He's been so aggressive on the roaming and looking for some spawn peaks. And he's going to retreat over towards Freezer's Stairs. He's going to be a late player to watch out for, or he might get snuffed out by some drones. But Nyx is on that flank. And look at Juan's HP. He's been brought down to 27 HP. Here comes the Lion Scan. They're going to be looking to find whoever is on this flank. Zolaris does get picked up, but he's not going to be found out. Still a 5v5. And there's so much tension with these roamers and this imminent push from Phantom.
They only have one set of hard breach here, so I wonder if this game's breach is going to be the end-all be-all of their push. But it seems like they vacated trophy for now, but you still have to be very careful of this pit position. But it's Juan to start us off with the very first kill. Valeno's down, and that's already some good late-round utility gotten rid of for Phantom Legion.
So one of the Lion Scans were used by Valeno, but no more for the side of Phantom Legion, so that might allow for Nyx to roam a little bit more easier. But as I say, that rival, he was the hero last round, 15-6. He's found Jen.
No.
Oh no, it's now a 4v3. Phantom, these guys are up there. It's a 4v3. Zolaris has a lot of pressure coming from his game side. A minute is on the clock. Phantom Legion can take their time if they want to, but Rival, he doesn't care about any of that. It's now a 3v2. Juan and Nyx, they're down to low HP, about half for Nyx. Can Nyx be the clutch player? Juan has a couple of kills to his name. Nito's down to 14 HP. Here we go, Phantom Legion. They're preparing their push to send this one potentially to overtime. But Hush, if they can win it here, they will just get onto that next round by the skin of their teeth. Here comes push from Trist. He knows he has one player there. Nito finds one, making it a 1v3. And overtime we go. Phantom Legion awake on the offense late in this game. And it's all to play for here as we enter sudden death rounds.
Both teams have set very comfortably in the top 2 positions here for qualifier number 1 of the BGS of the Blitz Gaming Series. And it's coming down into Oregon on OT with Hush now starting off on the defense here, on the defensive side. And that last round was very interesting to watch because you look at a lot of the positions from Hush, they were trying to play like a very aggressive defense over by Trophy side, and it just came down to Rival having like a really good round. He got a 3K. One was a player on I can't remember what the first kill happened at, but I know the second one happened onto a player in pit, and then the other one was on a flank, which has been giving both Phantom Legion and Hush a lot of troubles in this round. And once you kill that pit player, the rest of Hush are very much sweating, and the person, specifically the person in the games, by the game's wall, is sweating because he really has no safe position to play. Nyx isn't playing deep into pit to hold a crossfire with them, and he's very much isolated with Phantom Legion very, very close to the site. So I think with the amount of pressure that Phantom Legion were able to pick up, and especially with how easily they were able to kill clear Trophy, when because of the amount of deployable shields and the zombie barriers that have been used in that Trophy position by both teams when they play that second floor site, how difficult it has been to clear, Phantom Legion without the Flores has been able to do that quite effectively and then move into that position to cause Hush even more worry.
No Flores, no problem. Overtime, round 13 begins. Hush starting out on the defense, but this is the site they've been winning on, is the basement one. They've caused some problems for Phantom Legion down here, and really all eyes will be on round 15 if we do require it. But first, Phantom Legion have to show up here, or will it be Hush potentially losing the defense? It'd be a very interesting tale and a little spin to this, because so far Hush have been perfect on the basement site, and Phantom Legion have been perfect on the upstairs site. So it's gonna be interesting to see what Phantom Legion decide for their opening defensive round, and what if a potential round 15 might look like for Hush.
Nyx playing up top, gonna back off as soon as he meets some heat. He's been droned out, and he's also been shot at from the other side of the map when he was playing inside of Attic. So a full clear coming out from Phantom Legion, completed very effectively and in due time. 1:45 left to work map control and open up all of these hatches and then figure out where the brunt of your execute is going to come from. And they have a lot of good tools to do it. Habana to open up the hatches really effectively. Monty to then maybe work a push down tower stairs to go into pillar. Grim to help you lock down a lot of the power positions surrounding pillar and big tower. All in all, this can be a very good setup from Phantom Legion. But even though it looks good, basement site is very good for just anchoring down and hunkering down on. It's very hard to push into the last final few seconds.
Hush, can they stand tall and give themselves match point and qualification point? Phantom Legion, it's a 5v5. The execute is looming. You can see the smokes and the Goyle canisters both being popped. That's going to delay that tower push. Nyx, however, he's usually been on the run, but this time he's bunkering down. All hands on deck for the defense of Hush. Here comes some drone work. Will they be able to give the information? Nyx is in this corner. I don't think they're going to read it. Nyx in the surprise corner. The drone work does not help out. C4 being thrown. And it's going to get it killed. Nyx with the nasty double 11 and 10. He's really coming alive towards the back end of this match. And it looks like the defense is going to stand tall. Nyx with a triple. Unstoppable will clean it up. And the heroics of NYX is gonna give Hush match point, and they just need one more to go to the next stage of Blitz Gaming Series.
I think something that was really important to that overall setup from Hush was the fact that time they brought Goyo. Not a single time that I've seen both of these teams play defense on every single one of these sites have they brought a Goyo. It's always been like smoke a couple of times. That's been pretty consistent. But that time Hush decided to stick it up because there's been a big rise in picks, especially with Monty being on the board. If you have Goyo, you can lock down a lot of these entry points where Monty can be quite effective. Down tower stairs, down freezer, through the construction double door, down laundry stairs as well. And Hush use that quite effectively. They use the canister on tower stairs in order to lock down that entry point, and it allowed Nyx to be slightly aggressive over by construction double door to shut down that push and shut down a big push point or a good focal point of that attack for Phantom Legion.
18 kills for Rival. He is having himself a game. On the other side, it's been Nyx and his late resurgent. He's got 12 of his own. And we're going to second floor, not basement. It's going to be second floor for Phantom Legion. So far, they're perfect up here. But does Hush finally have the formula to crack into this one. And if they do, remember, this will be qualification for the next round. And looking at these operator selections, I believe this is what Hush was throwing similarly. There might be like a little change up, but overall, this looks like the same plan that we've been seeing.
Yeah, it's an interesting point to bring up as well because Flores is banned, and because there's been a big resurgence in playtime here for Azami and deployable shields in this matchup, and specifically, not just overall, right? Both teams have now opted to go more for big window executes and also white stair pushes, just going on the opposite side of the map instead of going for your typical split pushes by attic and master bedroom. And that seems to be the case here for Hush. They have some emphasis on getting the first floor control and then trying to buck power positions around the site so that they can free up good space for them to get a big window execute going on. But the big issue here is that there's also vertical angles working against them, and they have to be aware of that. What?
Here comes the Deimos track. It's going to be Rival who's going to be hunted out. Will they be able to find his location? There's the floor, but this time it's not going to be the Buck that's opening up. It's an unstoppable on the Dokkaebi who's trying to have some surprise from below. And here's some Buck work as well from Zolaris. But no, it's Valeno! It's not Nyx, it's Valeno who's on the roam. Phantom Legion on the defense have found something here. We've been talking about Nyx and his aggressiveness, but Valeno's showing like, hey, I can do it as well.
The drone right there too, and it activates so late, and now Valeno's position is known, but you already give up a crucial operator for this execute that could have been used to displace more of these power positions around site. And Hush are not only left the men down, but their utility is left so hampered for this soft destruction that they're trying to do.
50 seconds on the clock. Phantom Legion have put themselves into a good position to send this one to a round 15. Hush, can they find the execute? They found Triss through the floor, creeping from down below like the Grim Reaper, pulling them to their death. Nyx now finds a kill. It's now all of a sudden a 4v3 in favor of the offense. Hush, 30 seconds away from potentially doing this, but they do need to get the diffuser or find all of their foes. 3 to be exact. Needle finds one. Trev drops. Juan gets the trade. 3v2, 2v2. Needle gets a kill. Rival gets a kill. Now it's all down to Juan. The smoke comes out. Juan finds one, and it's all up to a Deimos. Does he use his tracker? He doesn't need it. He's gonna drop Rival. Sends this one to round 15. And if you're not on the edge of your seat already, it's round 15. Qualifications on the line for Hush. Phantom Legion want to send these guys down to a 2-loss state. And it's going to come down to one final hold. And I'd imagine, yes, it's going to be second floor where Hush can try and do it.
And both teams have been very consistent in being on top of their trades, especially when going on the defenses too. And for Phantom Legion, that was certainly the case. They were very good at trading out quite well. One big focal point that I would like to talk about, though, is the fact that Melusi's position was unheard of for that whole entire round, up until she died towards the end. The Grand Bees were not far enough to read her position, so by the time that they try to go for this big window execute, the player who jumps in can't effectively pre-fire her or go for that gunfight fairly because he simply doesn't have the info. They think that corner is clear because that's where the Green Bee goes. Now, it's a very costly mistake, or it's a costly misread. That's not necessarily a misread. They just info, or the information from the utility just doesn't quite correlate. And now Phantom Legion now have an opportunity to themselves, like Hush did earlier, to now qualify off of this one game.
I don't think Phantom necessarily qualify from a win, but mathematically they would be very unlikely that either of these teams would go out. Hush does have the chance to secure it with a game to spare. From my knowledge, I could be wrong, but pretty much like if Phantom Legion win, then their next game, I don't think it's really possible. I don't know. We'd have to look at the seeding, but it is 6 teams that can go through for this first qualifier, and we do have another 6-man qualifier potential in Qual 2. Hush, they can do it now, and they hate that basement, or excuse me, that second floor. They don't want to go up there. They're actually going to elect for a first floor hold, and all eyes always have to be on Nyx. He's so aggressive with the roam.
And I think all eyes are on Nyx, not just from everybody else here who's watching the game and us too as the casters, but also from Phantom Legion himself. There's a person down in basement in Trist to lurk for his position, and he has a Dokkaebi calls to aid him in his info. But you can hear him walking as the 3 armored. And yeah, that's exactly what happens. Flashbang goes in. Nyx is full
How did he
white. You
survive?
can aggress off of this if you're Triss, but he doesn't swing off of it. Drone to reconfirm that info. And Nyx is in a very dangerous position, but they can't quite capitalize off of the kill. I'll tell you who can capitalize off of something. Juan gets the very first pick, and that's the 3rd mite off of the board on 2nd floor.
It's a game of ring around the rosies right now. Nyx versus Trist. Somebody was droning for him, but do they know where he is? Trist is aware he's in the area. Was the drone shot down? Oh, I think Trist basically knows where Nyx is. It's just about delaying time at this point. It's undeniable that Nyx will be dropped. He's got 34 HP. I don't even know how Trist didn't get the kill. He threw some stuns out. They do have a Dokkaebi call if they want to do it. Nyx is just sitting tight. There's 2 players now that are coming in to try and clear him out. The man advantage is in favor of Hush, and there's a minute on the clock. And that, I couldn't tell what he threw, but it was a bad throw nonetheless. And finally, Nyx will be found out. But so much time was denied. Unstoppable is going to get a kill as well. So meanwhile, there's also a battle on the top on the 2nd floor. I think Nyx did his job. He wasn't able to get a kill, but just deny so much time and so much resource from Phantom Legion.
Yeah, struggling to get top floor control. Don't know exactly how that happened, but they're still struggling to get top floor control. Zalarius gets a kill through the vertical. Trevmac is down, and Valeno's trying to find this player up here, but he doesn't have the info up until then. And now it's a 2v1. Valeno drops down in Hatch, and that's Hush to win the game outright and qualify for BGS Season 1.
GG's in the chat. A round 15 dramatic between the 2 titans of our qualifying number 1, and it's gonna go the way of Hush, and Hush advances to group stages. Our next stage after qualifier, and it came down to a 3rd site, or I guess it was their 2nd choice at that point, because they did not like that 2nd floor. And Nyx was, no kills, but really the hero on that last site, as his aggressive spawn peaks and his roaming caused so much headache for Phantom.
Yeah, and I think honestly, if you're looking at anything to like look forward to in any upcoming season, it's both of these 2 teams. They are currently the top 2 teams of our qualifiers here for qualifier number 1 of BGS, and that was an interesting game to say the least. There were a lot of really weird moments that I would like to talk about, but there's a lot of them. The one thing that I would like to say is that flanks were a commodity for both teams. Whether that's a good or bad thing is it's a really bad thing, especially if it happens against them, but it was also a really good thing that it happened for them. A lot of times it happened with Nyx and Unstoppable doing it a couple times. Valeno and Rival did it a couple of times, especially Valeno from Phantom Legion, who went for a couple of big flanks that were left unpunished in the end because of a lack of info. And that happened a lot for both teams. So when they go into the regular season, and I think, I believe Phantom Legion should qualify whenever their qualification game comes in, that's an issue that they both look to solve in the future.
Well, we've got one more round coming your way, one more game, and we will figure out which 6 teams. We know one of them's Hush. Congratulations to you guys. But for me and Chaka, we'll be back later. Don't go anywhere. Our final round of the Blitz Open Qualifier 1 coming shortly.
I'm not ready yet, ready to forget now. I'm not ready yet, ready to forget. Mama said you're meant to burn as bright as a star among the midnight sky. All the pressure blinded me, but now I see I'm no different from the rest. You said I'd fly away, but my walls have kept me down. Now I'm lost and I'm afraid, and I'm close to hit the ground. You said I'd fly away. You said I'd fly anyway, but I keep on falling. You said I'd fly anywhere, but I keep on falling. But I keep on falling. We're all searching for that open door. Show me proof that there is something more. I just hope I am okay with the choices I make. Maybe then I'll understand. You said I'd fly away, but my walls have kept me down. Now I'm lost and I'm afraid, and I'm close to hit the ground. You said I'd fly away.
It's winning in here in our qualifier one, the Blitz Gaming. Me and Chaka back on the mic. My name's Kyler Grant, better known as Red Roke. And after that exhilarating match where Hush got their qualification for a round 15 Oregon, we are just pumping and ready for some more Rainbow Six Siege to bring you. This time, we've got Bottle Service taking on Evil Connections. Both of these teams sitting at 6-3. And like I said, win and you are in. And here's some roster names, some big names on the board, if it will load. Maybe OBS won't want to work with us today, but we can talk you through the names. Chaka, who are the players you're watching for today? There they are.
Okay, there they are. Thank goodness, because I could look on like the website that we use for BGS, but the issue with that is that the rosters don't necessarily translate to what we have in game. So if these are the rosters that we are going to go by when it comes to what the names are in the lobby once we load everything up for everyone to see, you have Penguin, who's obviously a player that's previously played Pro League before for Parabellum on that infamous run that they had through in 6 Invite a couple years ago. Evil Connections, really, if you've been around T3 and T4, you should know these players, you should know this team.
Yeah, for me, I'm looking at Cassie. Cassie, I've had the privilege of casting multiple times. And Wasim, I casted these guys yesterday, and Wasim really was a standout player for me. But Evil Connections is going through a good piece of form. Obviously, when you're at 6-3, that kind of shows. Let's go ahead and take a look at our map pool, because I believe our players are kind of eager right now to go through. And guess what? We're going back to Oregon, folks. If you didn't have enough Oregon drama from our last series, well, you're going to get more of it, so don't worry on that regard. Chaka, we saw all sorts of different things. We saw a 6-0 start from perfect defenses. Well, I guess it was a 3v3 start, really, but perfect 6-0 start on the side of the defense, and then things got really open. One team couldn't defend basement, one team couldn't defend second floor. It really, everything kind of went out the window as Hush clutched up. But as we head back to Oregon once again, we saw Monty played. That really changed the landscape of that game. So if Monty is banned, things could be different. But Chaka, are you excited for some more Oregon? What you looking for?
I'm actually very excited for Oregon. Unpopular opinion, I actually really like Oregon. I really like this
I like
map.
it too.
It's very
Thank
simple.
you.
Yes, it's very simple. It's easy to remember. it's an old-fashioned map, old-fashioned siege, and I love old-fashioned siege. I love the nitty-gritty once you get into it. Another thing to mention from the previous game as well is that we had a Flores ban, and because we had a Flores ban and no Azami being banned, you saw a lot of abuse from the defense using the Azami a lot of the times, using deployable shields on top of the Azami as well to create a lot of one-way angles. Barely any mirror to be played. So hopefully, maybe, I wouldn't say hopefully, but maybe that will change up in this matchup. Ying is going to be the first ban. That's not something we haven't seen before because in the last game, Ying was also the first ban too.
Is it going to be Monty? It is. So
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to have some semblance of natural order in the bans. Now, the Flores ban, like you said, was really what kind of opened this game up. Not going to be the case today. Are we going to see anything else that might shape the game from this side? So Ying and Valkyrie, very common bans, as well as the Monty. So this seems to be more of a linear type of ban. I'm really curious because I loved the bans that we had. It made that round or that game very diverse from our typical Oregon. It's going to be the Azami.
Yeah.
So Flores was the ban last time, and we saw abuse of the ban on the Azami, like you said. This time it's going to be a Azami ban. So it's going to be night and day, our two Oregon maps.
Yeah, and that's not too surprising because Azami was really effective in our last game on Oregon, especially when it came to those trophy extensions on the second floor sites from the defenses surrounding those deployable shields. So getting rid of that gets rid of a lot of headache. Even when Flores is on a board, you may not want to be forced to pick into a Flores, and sometimes Flores can be quite challenging, especially if you bring a mute to play behind around your setups. First sight, though, for Bottle Services, they start out on a defense here on Oregon in our second and final match of today or tonight, depending on where you are for BGS. It's going to be in a basement site, and they already have some of your stalwart defender picks, right? Your Miras, your Goyos, and the Smokes to play into this bunker-heavy setup that it seems like Bottle Service want to play into.
I love it when I see a Smoke and a Goyo because it kind of just ramps up the drama when those are used late because they deny so much time. And then it comes down to some last second heroics from the offense. And then there's also the Warden, which we didn't really get to see from that last round. And I've seen some insane Warden plays. Will we seen some more here on our first round of defense? But I think everything so far is very standard in terms of our picks. Anything really jumping out to you, Chaka?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, it's not the most exciting attacking lineup. It's stuff that you would normally expect. The only thing that's quite surprising here is that they don't really have a Habana to speed up the process of these hatches to do it from a safe distance, but they don't really need to do it from a safe distance because Bottle Service isn't really going for much of a room. They can get these hatches open in a jiffy. There's no denial on the hatches neither. It's full bunker from Bottle Service, and even though they give up the full map control, it's not going to be necessarily easy for Evil Connections to work with, but there's going to be a flank coming in through tower. They're not only Bearing, but it seems like he has the support of Penguin as well.
And he gets spotted by a drone, so back towards the bunker setup it is. But Bearing is playing, kind of hanging out towards this first floor of tower, and Evil Connections is aware that something's going on. Here comes some drone work that's going to help out. And Space does find the first pick for Evil Connections, so the offense starts hot. Penguin, who you pointed out in the pregame as the player to watch, is the first one to drop.
Looked like he aggressed over by main stairs, and he's been caught out by Space. That's a refract, though, in favor of Bottle Service to find a kill into the Buck, who aggressed up the big tower stairs yet again. Hasn't been quite shut down here from Evil Connections, who have not really committed to a certain type of push. They seem to be all over the place, not really right next to each other.
4v4, Bearing swings the corner, finds the kill, might be traded, escapes with 57 HP, and a minute on the clock. Evil Connections is missing Twitch and the Buck, but the Grim is going to be the key to this execution as they zone off any defenders that are lodged within this bunker setup. Wasim finds the angle, that is the first blood for him, and he's going to use some drone work here to potentially try to get in, but it's now a 3v3, 40 seconds on the clock. Evil Connection with the pressure on themselves to make this execute, try to find the opening, but it so far looks like Bottle Service has this shut down. There's no utility that's going to really require the service of the Warden glasses. And look at this, Jox. He's kind of lodged into this corner. With those Grims, he has to retreat towards tower side. Goyo's going to be popped. That's going to deny the tower push now. Evil Connections, they're trying to find any angle to potentially push through. Wasim throws an EMP. Does he check his corner? He does. Here comes the swing. Bullets can be traded 4 HP and 5 HP respectively. But Evil Connections collapse onto Jox. It's now a 3v2, but 8 seconds on the round. The numbers are in favor of Evil Connection, and you can feel bottle service. They know the pressure's coming through. Dami has a C4 to potentially use to stop the defuse.
What?
And Hasoon finds 2. And what a start there, as it got very nervy for the offense, and there's just not enough time.
It seemed like I like the plant spot there from Evil Connections because they hide away from a lot of different angles. They don't expose themselves too much to elbow or to the elbow rotate and through the laundry rotate. And they also don't really expose themselves to the freezer doorway, meaning that the person on the freezer doorway or the person playing on freezer has to swing out slightly more and expose himself to the doorway where the Dokkaebi is holding that cutoff from. They didn't really quite expect the swing though coming from the Wamai. There's nobody playing elbow, and also there's nobody really watching out for their swing. I really don't know where the Ashe was. If the Ashe wasn't in pillar, then where was she? Because she looked like she dropped down E-box and was just on top of her teammates at the end of that round and wasn't really holding much of anything. All in all, it's a very good swing that's confirmed by the Wamai of barring, and that's bottle service, or not barring, but Hasoon. And that's bottle service to get the opening round here on their defense of Oregon.
Bottle service start off strong, but it did get nervy. Evil Connection just ran out of time in the end. Remember, folks, a win and you are through. You have qualified for the next stage. We're taking 6 teams to our group stage. There is a second qualifier to maybe run at it again, but you want to do it here. You don't want to worry yourselves with another qualifier.
Gonna be Evil Connections though. Start themselves just outside of master bedroom balcony, and they don't seem to have the. Actually, no, they do. Maybe have the tools here in order to set themselves up for a split push. That's where Space is droning out at. He's droning towards Attic specifically, and he may set himself up with his own set of heart breach charges over by that area, whereas the rest of Evil Connections is going to set up by master bedroom. A lot of this utility set up by on trophy, by bottle service, to really delay this take here from Evil Connections, but they might use the blitz here to speed this process up.
You can feel Arrow is ready. He has his shield out. They're just waiting for the final call out from their team. Minute 56 on the clock. Arrow, he looks like he's going to make a move into trophy, but it's being held down by that shield. The deployable shield is coming through. The knock player is going to be dropped. Evil Connects up man advantage, but they put the position on their last attack, and Bottle Service was able to clutch up, but now it's a 5v2. Evil Connections has a great start here. Is there any way that Bottle Service can potentially clutch this one? It would take some Hercules effort if they want to be able to do it, but so far they just have to keep backing up, and with it now being a 1v4, it's gonna go the way of Evil Connections, and there's just way too much chaos, and it's gonna be tied up.
Yeah, and I like the cutoff angles that Evil Connections were able to establish on that hold from Evil Connections. They got rid of the trophy player quite effectively, and I was wondering where the pit player was to help, but they were being held off just by window. No heart breach utility needed to open up the attic wall in order to make pit position unplayable. Because of the way that they set up the head holes, you only really need the window open in order to counter that position being used by bottle service, and that help from being initiated over by trophy to really help that shield stay up and that position to stay strong. Bottle service didn't really have the opportunity to play those power positions that they really needed to play in order to keep hold of areas like Trophy. And towards the end of it, you ask, like, what can bottle service really do? Well, unless Evil Connections don't really use any utility and they just run in giving 1v1 gunfights, then that round could have been made possible for bottle service. But at the end of it, they slowed it down. They used their smoke grenades to block off important lines of sight. Because there was no warden on the board by that point from bottle service, you really have no way of countering the smokes other than exposing yourself, getting aggressive. They tried to do that, and it didn't work out yet.
Good bounce back around there from Evil Connections. They're going to bring back the blitz. Might be able to catch somebody off guard, and it's a second floor hold once more from bottle service. What do they have to kind of change here? Or was it just Evil Connections just had it down?
Guess find a way to deal with the attic position first, because that was a big reason as to why they couldn't really do much of anything. Whether that's swinging onto the window and taking a risky gunfight, you may catch that player off guard. And it looks like they want to try for the same thing yet again. They bring the Heartbreach charges on the Grim, but he's going to sit just outside of the attic window in order to put a lot of pressures onto this pit position because it worked so well last time.
Which team can separate themselves? Final Connection, or Evil Connections, excuse me, has shown that they can do it here on the second floor, but as the adjustments through for bottle service, oil canisters being popped over towards master bedroom. There's also some attic presence. The flank is red. That's a great pick from Evil Connections as they're gonna shut down the roaming Frost. And now Evil Connections, they were in this situation again. They have the numbers, and it's a bunker setup pretty much for bottle service. They might be able to drop a hatch for a late page. Oh, look at this. Here comes bottle service. They might be able to push up main stairs. Is anyone aware of it on the side of Evil Connections? Do they have a flank cam? Anything that might give the information? But no, 3v4, 2v4. There was a kill, but it's not going to be enough for the defense. And once again, Evil Connections executes perfectly. They only dropped one member, and it's an offensive start here for Evil Connections.
I really like the changes that bottle service tried to make on their defenses. They tried to come with more time-wasting utility. They brought not only the smoke, but they also brought Goyo in that round. Goyo is not very common for second floor, but he is quite effective, especially when locking down the entry points. They also had flanks coming in to deal with these extra positions that Evil Connections used against them in order to make their attack really effective. They tried to go for a flank up attic. It eventually failed because there was a misplay in the gunfight. And there was also a flank coming up main stairs. And while it was successful at first, it was eventually immediately traded out. And by that point, Evil Connections were already in a 4v2 when it came to them just being outside of sight. So really well played on the second floor twice in a row from Evil Connections, where bottle service tried to play around more time-wasting util, and they tried to get a little bit freaky on the flanks. Those just didn't quite work well for them. And it's Evil Connections to come off of their defensive split, or attacking split rather, 2-1 up on their defense now.
Space, 5 kills to his name. He has been a force to reckon, as well as the person that I always watch for on this Evil Connection side. Cassie hasn't dropped yet with 4 kills to his name. And it looks like we're going to see some blitz magic as well from bottle service. That seems to be the choice for this party here on our second edition of Oregon tonight. But Evil Connections, we weren't able to see this type of defense. It's a Tuber Cade selection this time. Last time the Cade was banned from our last Oregon setup. What do you expect to see from Evil Connections as they try to go for this execute? But hold on, Wasim is very aggressive on this spawn peak. I want to see if this will come to anything. Looks like he had the back up. Oh, he just barely got that barrier up. But as I was saying about that question, now that we're going to see Tuberau and Cade, what's the game plan for Evil Connection?
Try to get the hatches closed. If you can keep these hatches closed, you realistically give bottle service less to work with. On a site that's really hard to attack, you don't really have much given to you when attacking the site. If you can keep these hatches closed or delay it to the point where they're forced into a late round execute, and you have 3 nitro cells to play behind in terms of your plant denial, you really put yourself in a very good position to win this round if you're Evil Connections. And really, bottle service doesn't really have anything to play around the Kai Claws and the Tuberau canisters. They didn't bring a Maverick, and yes, they do have the EMP impacts, but by the time this Tuberau canister expires, the Kai Claw may just as well come back online unless they timed it correctly.
The striker had to use one of the EMPs, and it looked like it just didn't connect. That's Bartering who was on that. He did get the second one, but the Tuberao came in, like you mentioned. Still a 5v5. This is just bunker, bunker, bunker. And you and I talked about how we like this. It is very straightforward. You know what you're going to get. And yet it's different from what we saw in that last round just due to the bans. But here comes the pressure from the tower side. T1 stairs are going to come through. It's a blitz that might be able to get the magic happening. Now it's a 4v4, 3v4. Evil Connections defense is going to be equalized up. Kills are happening everywhere. Cassie has pulled out the shotgun in the back pocket, but the defense, they have the numbers. 40 seconds now. Here comes the last Dokkaebi called. It's now up to Barring and Dami. Barring falls. Dami, last player remaining. Can any magic happen here on the basement setup? Evil Connections are in a great position. However, Dami finds one, but the position is known. 50 HP for Dami. 30 seconds now remain. Flash being thrown, but this player towards the pillar is what he's so concerned about, even though he knows that there's a player towards site. Here comes the swing. Can't happen yet. He's just going to sprint on across, and a great crossfire from Evil Connections gives them the round.
That was really a nice play around the Tuberao and the Kaid. I don't really think there was much prep work coming into it from Bottle Service, but it was well executed by Evil Connections. Keeping those hatches closed, and Bottle Service don't really have many things to really counter the Kaid and Tuberao combo. They don't bring a Maverick, they only bring 2 EMP impacts. And as we all know, bringing only two EMP impacts against the Tuberao and a Kaid is simply not good enough. And they keep that, the hatches are closed against them. They're kept closed for that whole entire round. And the only way the only way that Bottle Service can win that round is by executing through way of the stairs, through the doorways, and that's literally about it. And they have to hope that Evil Connections give them something. And while they were very consistent with their trades, and it got very close towards the end in a 1v2, it was still Evil Connections to just shut down the entry points from Bottle Service because they didn't really have many options to go with.
Evil Connections, a great start to life here on their offense with a 2-1 start. They were able to take the favored defensive site, and now Bottle Service have to readjust their thought process here if they want to do it. Does Dami know that someone's above? That's the question. Did he hear the frost mat being placed? Now, he did look up there. Chuck, I got to get your opinion. Do you think Dami's aware of the player that's up top tower?
I would hope so. That's the if you're to Amaru and that's where you're at, it looks like he is. Look straight at a spawn peak that's, I wouldn't say is the most common, but it's something that you certainly check for, especially if you're looking to come in through the small tower side and then make your way over to construction. Is certainly or go to a big window, because there's a really interesting way to counter the big window play. If you don't want to just jump out a big window or over aggress to small tower, you can also look through the big tower window that's looking directly towards where big window is settled at. So though they don't really find anything off of that like spawn peak, that's still some phantom pressure that could work against Bottle Service, because they seem to be putting some emphasis on that big window, as well as what their push is looking like on this attic side of the map.
Oh, Dami able to sneak a drone through the top floor. As I say, that Space has found where the drone is, but he's taking a lot of time to try and get it, but he's starting to feel some pressure. He's gonna back his way up over towards attic, but that's a lot of time wasted. Now Dami knows that tower is available to take, but that's so far some delayed pressure that's gonna be applied towards attic side. So far a good start to life for Bottle Service, but as I say that, Barring, he's gonna drop to 37 HP. And now Evil Connections on this defense, they've been delaying a lot of time. Bottle Service has been slowly trying to clear tower, and now life advantage goes to favor courtesy of Space.
They shut down the tower push, and then that gives way for the execution here for Bottle Service, who seemingly want to press the go button. Though they're shut down almost initially, they do find a way back into the round, but it's still Evil Connections with the lead. Asuni though finds a quick trade, and now it's a 3v3, a 3v2 as Asuni goes nuclear through pit, and he's now found his way inside of sight. Bottle Service from nothing has found something, a lot of things, and one of them, most importantly, is the round victory in round number 5.
From nothing to something, That's a good round for bottle service there. Evil Connections, they had a very interesting play towards tower, delaying a lot of time. And then all of a sudden, bottle service, Hasuni specifically, was able to just make his way freely into sight, finding kills. They were able to find the gap. And now the choice is to go back to second floor. What adjustments does Evil Connections need to make?
It's a tough question. I think what they want to do maybe is try and play slightly more aggressive by pit and trophy, because once they gave up those areas quite quickly, even though they did shut down the attic push, bottle service were able to just move in quite easily from there. Husuni from trophy then goes into pit, and there was seemingly no information on his position or his push coming in through pit, and bottle service were able to capitalize off of that pretty well. So now this time around, Evil Connection seemingly want to put a little bit more emphasis. They moved the shield that was placed near big window. They moved that closer next to pit door, or rather on the wall next to concrete, and that's given them a little bit more help to not only cover the trophy area but also to cover pit too.
Well, that tower is going to be in play by the Frost once again. Can they take the tower and force space out of it? And it's interesting. He's going for the same strat, but Hasuni finds space, and now that was the player that was lurking towards the tower side. He's going to drop, and now bottle service is going to have a lot of confidence to go again at this defensive site here on second floor. Can they replicate that same success? Tweety, however, is aware that something's happening over towards his side. There's a lot of drone work doing towards him. He's shifting his feet just a little bit inside trophy, but Hasuni swings. It's a double kill. Hasuni is the magic man on the second floor, as he's going to find a double. Oh, and there's more kills lining up. Can they get the shot through? Jox is going to get the kill, and Evil Connection, their defense is just falling apart.
They have too much control here for your bottle service too. Well, not too much control, perfect control for them. They have attic, games wall is seemingly open as well. They have trophy. The only thing that's really stopping you is the pit player, who has to get aggressive, takes an unfavorable gunfight against the LMG and dies outright. Plant going down. Big window player to lock down Cassia in this position. His position was known, and Barring pushes in for the 1v1 engagement that Cassia is simply not expecting. That is bottle service to tie the half up after some poor attacking rounds in the beginning. They tied it up now 3-3, going back to their defenses.
So far, this is an offensive map. It seems like our new edition of Oregon here in Blitz Gaming, Qualifier 1, is leaning towards the offense. But when we were in this similar situation last time at the halfway mark, it was defense, a 3-0 start for both defenses. Is the halftime going to give anything for the defenses here? Maybe some adjustments. And it looks like bottle service is going to do an attempt for the Kaid tuber route hold. This is going to be interesting. Wait, you got to help me here. I don't even remember. Did Evil Connections win their opening offensive round?
They didn't win their opening offense round, not on basement, though.
So basement's undefeated so far in his second floor, where we're having the troubles.
Yeah, second floor on defense for Evil Connections. Basement attack in the very first round was something that they had issues with as well. Though it came very, very close to them completing it.
That's right. Thank you.
If they didn't, if they were able to watch a swing from, I think it was Hisuni on the Wamai. It was a couple of rounds ago. This is a different round and seemingly a different ideal from Bottle Service, who have an extension up by first floor, a lot more aggressive than they did last time out. Not only is it first floor, but you also have Asuni, who was around Freezer Stairs, right now at Freezer Stairs, and Barring, who's playing slightly more aggressively around Big Tower.
Barring, although that Dokkaebi call will give his position away, he's going to back down towards the bottom of that staircase. So the Dokkaebi seem to kind of dislodge that player playing towards tower. And I think we do have now a true bunker setup. Mira, Tubarao, Kaid, all sorts of time denial with the smoke and the Goyo. It's going to be a batten down the hatch approach from Bottle Service. And Baring, however, he does look to peek his head out at the bunker, but he's going to go right back down the rabbit hole. Oh, but he's just constantly peeking.
Yes, 30 HP, very low on health, and he has to be careful in how he takes these aggressive gunfights, especially once it gets down into the nitty-gritty. Basement, as much as it can be for the attack, can be a messy round for the defense as well when it comes to these trade games. And so now that they've given up a lot of this control, Tower Stars is going to be easily taken advantage of. But again, it's the Tuberao and the Kaid combo, and Evil Connections just only have 2 EMPs to deal with this. They really only have to commit to 1 hash because they quite literally will probably not get this E-box hash open.
Minute 20, still a 5v5. Baring and Arrow are the only players to take some damage. Baring is down to 30, like you said. He has to be very careful over towards this tower side. But still, Evil Connections is setting up their execute. They're getting ready to make a push. Now you can see Dami is worried about the freezer as Cassia shoots down the barrier. And look at this, they've got eyes on with that Mira strategy. So Baring now is in charge of holding freezer side, but the Ash charge is going to knock out any visibility towards that. So slowly, Evil Connections making their way forwards. Space and Cassia leading the way in terms of slang for Evil Connection, but it's a player down. Jox is down on the floor. He's knocked. Evil Connection might have an opportunity, and here comes the execution. It's a Grim, it's a Dokkaebi call, and a C4 is in hands of a player for Bottle Service. Now 4v5, make that a 4v4. Evil Connections, in the blink of an eye, they've got the advantage. It's all down to Penguin as it's a 1v4, and he's nowhere near sight. Cassia runs through the fire, and it's a heroic push on the offense, and the basement site has been cracked.
Player on Laundry Rotate couldn't simply deal with Cassia pushing down the freezer stairs. You saw a lot of the missed shots happening. The Vector is a very good gun, but with the ACOG, and especially with the ACOG, it's a very fun gun to use, but it's not very fun when you miss. And he missed quite a lot of the bullets. And once that player on the Laundry Rotate was dealt with, it made it very easy for then Cassia to just push in through the rest of the freezer. You get that freezer control, you get freezer doorway. You have so much to work with in terms of like your cutoff potential. Highway, elbow rotate, smoke's already down at that point, and you basically just cut the whole site in half, which then enables the rest of Evil Connections to just push on in and attack from all of their separate positions. That wasn't really the most together push from Evil Connections, and it's not a negative thing to say whatsoever. I think the way that they split themselves up and then they activated based off of Cassia's aggression through Freezer that was very successful is very beautiful to see, and Bottle Servers simply just could not win their gunfights when it mattered most.
We might be seeing some death from above. Arrow has gone towards the fuse. What is going to be the execute strategy for this fuse play?
I'll be completely honest, this basement, I have no idea. Like, what?
Yeah,
They have a shield. They have a shield. I mean, that's cool, but like, I think there's no roam here, so there's not really much effectiveness to have with the fuse charges. Actually, you know what? Because fuse can fuse through reinforced hatches, but the issue with trying to do that when there's a Tuberao and a Kaid on the board is that you can't necessarily do that. Though I say that, Space finds a kill through construction just through spraying through the doorway. And that's the Tuberao dead!
No.
So that gives up a lot of freedom here for Evil Connections to make this fuse work, especially when they have these EMP impacts to counter the Kaid claws.
They just got to get rid of the Kaid, and they can easily make their way through. Oh no, that is a huge part of your strategy, but Baring is going to make it a little bit easier to breathe as Wasim drops, so there's no twitch. And that there's some early blows here for both sides. A lot of util that's going to be needed, but we're just now hitting the 2-minute mark. Bottle Service can still pull something out. They have gone for the Wamai this time around. No more Goyo. Is that going to be a difference maker in this one? Oh, and now Bottle Service is roaring back to life, but Cassie is going to find some kills. And it's early aggression this time. Evil Connection took their time on their last attack, but now a 3v2 for the offense. Can they find something to happen? Dami and Baring, they're going to get Dokkaebi called. Their position is now known on the side of Evil Connection. It's going to expire, and there's no more Dokkaebi calls, but they still have plenty of Grims to work out where their final push is going to come from. But this is a great setup from Evil Connection. Here's some damage. Space struck down to 13 HP. Dami holding the line at pillar. If they can get the Grim over here, they can just force him out of this pillar. But here comes some chows. Very aggressive from Dami. It's now Cassia who's been tasked to try and push this player out of the pillar. Dami, he's worried about a lot of things. There's 2 players now swinging in towards this pillar side. And now that's the Grim play. They're going to move him away and give some freedom over towards the staircase.
Last 45 seconds, Grim Bees, they forced that position completely out, and they've isolated a player. This is great from Evil Connections. The way that they've been able to isolate these 2 players and make them feel so uncomfortable has been excellent, and now Dami's left in a 1v3.
Hold on, Dami does find a kill. It's not over just yet, and he does have a C4. Does he hear the diffuser? Oh, that's smart. He faked the diffuser. And the C4, you heard the C4 click. It scared Tweety, and he went for the check, and he has the gunny play. That was almost a beautiful play on the defense, but Evil Connections, they've got the recipe for success on this basement. But when the tuber out drops early, it's difficult. And I think Bottle Service is aware that they're going back to basement. They were like, you know what? Let's not sell our tuber out, and we can still win this.
Yeah. I do want to commend Evil Connections, though, for the fact that they were able to shut down the... Yeah, no tuber out, but, I mean, last round, it didn't really prove to be much of an issue. There wasn't really much hatch play from Evil Connections, to be quite frank, although that may have just created some phantom pressure, not too sure. But I think you got to commend Evil Connections as well, too, for the way that they played the mid-round to late round. Mid-round, there was a player flanking up on the second floor. They dealt with him quite well, despite Penguin getting a pick on the second floor to try and make things slightly more possible from Evil Connections. I fear that once they lost the tuber out, they were like, okay, we might need to get slightly more aggressive. And that's an okay read to have. And I think that the reaction was fine, too. And then towards the end of it, Evil Connections also did a very good job of just not over-aggressing. They slowed the pace down, especially when they figured out that the last 2 players alive were very far away from each other. They waited for one another to rotate. They used the Grim Bees quite effectively to push the pillar players slightly back. And then that allowed them to move in, take space pillar, then move into elbow, and then kill the player who was like playing next to elbow as well, which he was isolated too. And now a new round has commenced. Bottle servers go back to basement site to try that yet again. No tuber to be played, like you mentioned, just a Kai.
Is it going to be 3rd time's the charm for which of these sides? We're going to see a 3rd. Wow, lots of aggressiveness coming from the side of Evil Connections, and 2 players are going to drop. Bottle Service do still have numbers, however, they have lost a Warden, and now the Goyo. Cassie's waking it. And we haven't even hit the 2-minute mark, and it's a party on the bottom floor. Dami pushed all the way back towards Freezer side. Cassia finds a kill. That's a double kill for him. A triple kill for Cassia. Hold on, 4 for Cassia, and 3 offensive rounds in the basement, back to back to back. And now hold your horses here. Evil Connections has stormed into this one. Bottle Service can't get it done on the basement.
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't necessarily know how to analyze that round because there's just so much going on. Like, initially you saw Bottle Service do a very good job of shutting down that elbow push coming in from Evil Connections. You saw the smoke back up, player Crossfire with his teammate playing in Freezer. But then the rest of Evil Connections just move in and take pillar. They also then proceed to retake elbow again. The player outside of bunker again is very, very patient, and I like that from Evil Connections, the patience that they have to just wait for players to get into the right positions before they then start to move. And Evil Connections, I mean, Bottle Service towards the end just started to really lose important gunfights. Yet again, when they're trying to shut down a push coming in from Evil Connections, most notably the player who was watching in from sight from supply room, looking towards rear stage, was trying to shut down that push, and then he just gets absolutely smoked by Cassia, who then at the end of it gets a 3 or 4K. All in all, that was just a very clean round towards the end from Cassia. I don't really think Evil Connections really had any business coming back in that round if it weren't for him.
Oh my, Cassia 17-3, and Evil Connections on qualification point for the group stages of Blitz Gaming. Can it be done on the basement, or will Bottle Service? They have to show that offensive dominance that we just saw from Evil Connection. This is a monumental task. Surely Evil Connection has secured their way to the next round with that defensive, those offensive rounds, but it's still bottle service can show something, and we're gonna see Kaid Tuberel once again, but we're gonna see Legion, and that seems to be the wrinkle that Evil Connection like to throw.
Gonna be the basement site again. Okay, no, this is Evil Connections. For some, the quarter system is messing me up completely. And I actually really, you know what? I actually really do like the quarter system. It brings a new, fresh look onto Siege. This time they bring the Maverick to work around the Tuberel.
This ain't
I
good.
like this change from bottle service. And even though the C4 doesn't connect, this is very successful hatch work coming in from
There's
bottle service,
two.
and some nice Maverick work to come in as well, wasting 2 C4s. Though those does some little damage, that's still a late round utility now over with for Evil Connections.
I think they've got one more C4 to potentially
One more,
throw.
yes.
But a minute 30, this one is much slower than our last basement round. Can bottle service take their time, figure out the opening, and how they can maybe get their execute off? The Maverick work, as you mentioned, was well done to get open that main hatch. This is, or I shouldn't say main, the meeting room hatch, but this is the primary hatch that you have to get open, as a lot of execute work is going to be done from there. Oh
Wow.
no, Evil Connections found the pick, and Arrow might have gifted their team qualification for Blitz Gaming. Here comes the execution. They're going to use the Grim. They're going to find the kill. Space finds one. The defense is going strong so far, but there's a player knocked. It's now a 3v2 temporarily in favor of the defense. 7 health for Hasuni. He's going to find one, but his location's now given up. It's a 2v2. Arrow's on the floor, and he can only watch from a prone position as he's going to crawl around. Barring might have to be the crucial players. There's health down on both of the sides here. Tweety, the only player who has health to their name, Wasim. He might swat. Oh, and the Legion Mind is going to give it up. Hold on here. Hasuni might have pulled his team back from the depths of despair. There's the swing. Wasim finds the kill. It's a 2v1. Arrow has finally fallen, but Hasuni, 7 HP and a dream. Can he keep his team alive? 14 seconds on the clock. Make that actually 10 seconds. His position is now Hasuni. The swing, the knock. It's now a 1v1. 7 HP versus 125. But all it takes is one headshot. But Tweety, he's just vacated the site. Is he the player who has the C4? Diffuser's gonna go down. He couldn't find it. Oh my goodness! And what looked like a miracle play from Hasuni is not gonna happen. The team kill for good measure, and Evil Connections has done it. They will be playing in the open bracket. GG's to that. Group stage 4. Oh my goodness, we got to take a breather here. But Evil Connections are going to get group stage. Boy, oh boy. That one was chaotic to say the least, but a convincing win from Evil Connection.
Yes, both of the Oregon maps that we've had today have been quite chaotic. First map that we had was quite aggressive. Most rounds came down to the wire, and it eventually concluded in an 8-7 win for Hush. Today, this was pretty straightforward for Evil Connections. I think if you look at this game and you watch it back, you would see that Evil Connections were clearly the better team here on Oregon. They had the better team play. The coordination was really good. Their patience, I've referenced that like a numerous amount of times. Their patience, especially in the execute, to wait for each other just to coordinate what they want to do later on, was absolutely amazing towards the end. And it's not something that you commonly see in T3 teams.
Let's do a roundabout as it looks. It's Evil Connections is going to secure their spot to the next stage. So In Control has defeated Bot Kids. They won 7-0 on Border. That surely means that they are through. Kunai also beat Cynical. I'm not exactly sure of their status. But other than that, none of the other games have finished. I'm going to take a quick look at our standings. But yes, Evil Connections with that win has secured their spot. In Control with their win, a very dominant one that is, a 7-0-1. They've gone through for the next round. I'm not sure if there's any other qualifications, but the final results will be on Twitter. You can go check out BGS all caps _R6 for those updates if you're curious if your team won. Also make sure you're on OPL refreshing, because we still have some results that are going to have to be punched through. But Hush surely have qualified. They were 8-1 heading into their last round. In Control 8-2, I would imagine they did so as well. Bottle Service 7-3, Evil Connection 7-3. So it looks like there's still potentially maybe 2, maybe 3. There's still some stuff up in the air, but Evil Connections, remember, that was a game that was 3-3 at the halftime, Chaka, but their offense on that basement was stupendous.
Yep, just completely countered everything that Bottle Surface wanted to do. And that the main difference that I saw between both teams was just, again, the coordination. I think Evil Connections were the much better team coming into Oregon. And at the end of the day, Oregon, some of these more staple maps, Oregon Clubhouse, Chalet even, come down to your teamwork. And if you just don't really have that, then it's not going to work out for you necessarily. And Evil Connections showed up today in terms of their team play and also on the scoreboard as well. But that is going to commence the final day of qualifier number 1. We will have qualifier number 2 starting next week, where we will have 6 more teams qualifying for the first and main season of BGS season 1. So stay tuned. We will be back next Friday.
I'm not ready yet, ready to forget now. I'm not ready yet, ready to forget. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'll be there when the lights don't shine. I'll be there in the sleep.